What were chapters 1 and 2 about? The Armageddon and Waco book, which everybody should have out on the table, unless you have an e-version of it. That's part of the quiz, too. I really don't want to give a final answer to this. I will. Because I believe in the educational process. Maybe if the people who built New Orleans were a little smarter, they wouldn't have built their city underground, basically. Maybe people in Japan would have realized that building a nuclear power plant in a tsunami and earthquake area was a mistake. The only way they learn those things is having these things pounded into their head. Maybe they should have taken a written test. New Orleans. Should you build your city below sea level, yes or no? Problem solved. Federal government. Should you spend more money than you take in every single year for the past 70 years? Yes or no? Should you spend $1 trillion on health care and still people get sicker every day? Yes or no? So, again, what is the answers? What were chapters 1 and 2 about? Yes?
Chapter 1 kind of introduces you to the thinkers behind cultist theories and branches that form from it, and the second chapter goes into Davidians and the branches in Seventh-day Adventists.
Okay. And so the name of the group is the Branch Davidians. What were some of the things that you heard or in chapters 1 or 2 that these people believed, or in the articles? What were some of the things that these people believed? Yes.
Women have to wear long clothing, their hair long. They celebrated the Sabbath rather than Sundays, and they were against Catholics.
Okay, and so what did they believe about the future and their role in it?
They tend to think that the world's going to end. They need to be in one spot when it happens.
Right, and what did they think about the rest of the world? Which is usually a problem that religious groups get themselves into when they start to have this attitude. What? That's right. People enjoy that when they tell people, oh, you're all going to hell. You're all degenerates. People enjoy that kind of stuff. Okay? On top of that, what happened, and they got into this a little bit, it's a little bit obscure, so I understand if you don't remember this part. What happened in 1959 that really hurt the group, that almost destroyed it?
It said the world's going to end at a certain date, and then it didn't.
Yeah, and that should be a lesson to all these idiots in the subway. Okay, or whoever these morons are passing pamphlets around. I mean, look, if I had the legal right to, and one of these morons came up to me to pass out a pamphlet, they would have my foot mark imprinted on their face. Okay, because I don't like people like this. I think it's the most reckless thing in the world, in a world full of panic and fear and terrorism and disease and nuclear weapons, to go around telling people the world is going to end. And shame on the stupid people who follow these people and give them power and give them notoriety. It's like that jackass in Florida who was going to burn the Quran. Don't do me no favors, dumbass. Okay? Just continue to eat crappy food and drink well water and have your teeth fall out. Okay? And marry your cousins. You sick, twisted bastard. Just be quiet. Okay? Just like I'm furious at the Catholic Church and the Protestant churches for allowing child molestation to take place right underneath their nose. And not do anything. How many priests have went to jail? Would a few be the right answer? How many priests probably committed these crimes? Would 1,000 or so, at least, be the right answer? Do you see the absurdity? This is something we'll talk about. Do you think if the Branch Davidians were accused of molesting children that they would have been able to just move people to Seattle? What do you think they would have done? If the Catholic Church was a smaller organization and accusations of child abuse came out, what would happen? Yeah, the FBI would come in and just shoot people. They wouldn't even ask questions. They'd behead the Pope or something. I mean, he'd be the biggest war criminal the world's ever seen. You know? And here's how insidious this has become. There's evidence that has come out recently that the Pope's brother was involved in covering this stuff up. And I would like to be fair. I always tell people I'm an equal opportunity ass kicker. That's why I can't stand John Kennedy or Ronald Reagan. Both of them were stupid. Protestants have had similar incidences. Baptists, Methodist, Presbyterian, you name it. Okay? And was this group Catholic affiliated or Protestant? Yeah. And they got accused of molesting children. And again, what happened to the group, you'll find out. Right? If you get accused of doing drugs or doing things with children, underage children and things like that, abusing people, you are in trouble. However, in the 1950s, Catholic nuns used to rap people in the knuckles with rulers and beat them with paddles. I'm telling you right now, in the 50s and 60s, and I don't know if this is still the way it is to this day, if you made a mistake in a Catholic school, you got a wood paddle. And sometimes they drill holes in it to where it would like really whip through the air. And not just boom, bam, bam, like it was the worst fraternity initiation the world's ever seen. If any other group besides the powerful Catholic Church was doing that, they would have shut them down in 5 minutes. Think about this, Protestants and Catholics. Do kids get real wine at church? This is what I want you to think about. You're at your house, and you're babysitting 8 and 9-year-old kids, and you just give them a sip of wine. Is that going to go over well with the police, or their families, or the Child Protective Services? Then why is the Catholic Church able to essentially, and Protestants or Lutherans take communion too? Why are these places allowed to serve alcohol to minors, and nobody says a thing? You know, you could use grape juice. I don't understand that behavior. We'll talk a little bit more about, so I think what's clear coming out here in the conversation is, it matters greatly whether or not you are considered a religion, an accepted mainstream religion like Catholicism or baptism or you know, look, like the snake handlers, people like our snake handlers. Those people get treated like a cult. But if the Catholic Church was handling snakes and had been doing so for 800 years, it would not be weird. So part of this has to do with power, visibility, how many people are in your group. When you have most of the presidents of the United States, basically all of them belonging to one major religion or the other, you have a situation where it is essentially codified into the culture as well as supported by institutions that these sets of organizations are religions, and we accept them so, and we give them tax-exempt status, and these other organizations like Scientology, Branch Davidians, Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses are not. Or Satanism. I thought we had... Here's one thing that this debate hopefully will bring up in your mind. This stuff about the separation of church and state in the Constitution, absolute nonsense. There's not one single moment that the federal government is divided from religion on a lot of levels. Think about it. Think about it. What's on the damn dollar bill? In God we trust. So if you're an atheist, the whole world's against you, isn't it? Okay? We give tax-exempt status to churches. It's not charity organizations, churches. Okay? And people figure this out. You just start a fake church and then you don't have to pay any more taxes. Okay? On top of that, just from a de facto perspective, you're never going to have a situation where we have an atheist or a Satanist or even a non... I don't see ever having a non-Christian president. Maybe Judaism. You might get somebody who's Jewish in the White House, but we haven't even ever... We've only had one Jewish person in the entire history of the United States. And Jewish people have been in this country since the 1650s. Ran for president. It was Joseph Lieberman. And that's it. Okay? We've only had one Catholic president. And when he ran, it was JFK. First of all, you can't be Catholic when you're having sex with 14 other women besides your wife. Sorry. Okay? Or whatever. This guy made Bill Clinton look like a saint. Okay? This guy screwed everything that touched me. Alright? I wouldn't have shaken his hand. I mean, supposedly now it's coming out that he was sleeping with several spies. Now you know how they got the information about the U-2 satellite and the airplanes and stuff like that. But even when he ran for president, stuff like this, he had to make a statement out in public about that the Pope will not, I will not listen to the Pope. That's basically what he had to say. And my religion won't impact my views. Nonsense. On top of that, this country claims that you have freedom of religion. Try to be a practicing Satanist and see how long you last. Okay? Go ask Scientology what it's like when you're outside the mainstream. Try to be a practicing Muslim and see what the government thinks of your behavior. See if they don't tap your phones or follow you around. Okay? Go be a Buddhist or a Hindu and see how many job offers you get. Okay? Like, remember when Tiger Woods apologized for his JFK episode? And he wasn't apologizing, he was just telling people to leave his kids alone. And a lot of people didn't realize this. And I think it disturbed people as much as his, sexual disease stuff or whatever he was doing. I don't know what kind of degeneracy gets into people's minds when they act that way. Especially for someone who was called Urkel when he was in college. And that's not a compliment. He went out and said, I need to get back to my Buddhist principles, and I could hear hundreds of millions of Americans all over the country going, Tiger Woods is a Buddhist? Man, that's way worse than what he did with these women. You're a Buddhist? I just deleted you from my Facebook. Buddhist? And not that there's anything wrong with being a Buddhist, but Americans view Buddhism like a cult. It's a cult. Why would you believe in something that is stupid and doesn't exist and is not real? To Buddhists, Christianity is stupid. You worship a carpenter, and you eat his flesh and drink his blood to honor his death, and he was hung on a cross for doing nothing? Yeah, nice story. Right? Whereas Buddha sought enlightenment. He sat underneath a Bodhi tree. Okay, they didn't hang him to a cross. Right? Other people look at Islam and go, Muhammad had how many wives? And he lived a long, wealthy life, comfortable life, while Jesus was basically hanging out with bums and prostitutes and not having sex with them. Tiger. Okay? And I bet when Tiger said that stuff about Buddhism, he said, there's the problem right there, buddy. You need Jesus to save you. Not Buddha. Okay? But this matters. Religion matters. Religion matters what country, what religion a country is, what religion individuals are, what religion are in certain areas, like in Long Island, Catholicism dominates. Not in Columbus, Ohio, not where I'm from. You'd have to search your phone for 10 years to find a Catholic church in Columbus. And here's this is what I love. This is the rub. 40-some% of Central Ohioans list one of their ethnic backgrounds as Irish, but they're all Protestants. Right? So we're going to fight the 100 Years of War all over again. And I'll tell you right now, if you're Jewish and you're Central Ohio, I'm sorry that you're lonely. Because you're not going to have a lot. If you came to Columbus to talk about religion, you can forget about it. There's more Arab Muslims in Columbus than there are Jewish people. Okay? So to people in Central Ohio, anything that's not Baptist or Methodist is weird. And wrong on top of that. Right? Just like Catholics and Protestants like they're stupid. Okay? And Christians look at Jewish people and go, man, you missed the boat. Your Savior came along and you hung him on the cross. Which, by the way, the Jewish people didn't do that. The Romans did that. I know that was a big controversy with Mel Gibson's movie. And Mel's no fan exactly. He's not exactly a fan of Jewish people, is he? I mean, he tried to say that he was drunk and he went on that anti-Semitic rage. It's like, look, buddy, I've been drunk a lot. I never, ever, and this goes for you, Michael Richards, too, have spouted racial or religious epithets when I was drunk. I mean, what is the point of that? So, Mel, that's just your real feelings coming out. And I'll tell you what, Mel, it's probably not going to be very good for you to be spouting anti-Semitic stuff when Steven Spielberg's around and people like that. Okay? I don't think that's very helpful. All right? But anyway, the fact is religion matters. Now, let's go to the article. So what was the difference between social constructionism and objectivism, or essentialism? So the social construction or the relativism, what did that mean? That cult, we just talked a little bit about it. What is the essentialist, objectivist view? What is the objectivist view of a cult? Essentialist, whatever you want to call it. I think I mentioned it as essentialist. What's the essential definition of a cult?
That all cults are
Right. That cults have particular characteristics. They brainwash people. They take people's money by promising them nonsense. They engage in strange rituals. They have silly rules. Usually there's some kind of sexual deviance. There's usually many times alcohol or drug abuse involved. There's an attempt to separate themselves from society and to find the rest of the world strange. And many times these things either end in suicide or murder or something weird like that. Yeah, that's a major religion. Now, what's the social constructionist or the relativist view? That what is a cult or religion depends on what? That's actually probably closer to the essentialist view in the sense that the character would be the the desire to exploit people. Essentialists would argue that cults exploit and harm people, religions don't, which we know is not clearly the case. Yes, in the back.
It's more like accepted by the public, like religious media, institutions, or the government.
So whether or not Christianity, or let's take the Catholic Church for example, is considered a cult or a religion, I assure you that the Catholic Church in Saudi Arabia is considered to be a dangerous cult. I don't think, I'm going to tell you right now, you go ahead and you go to Saudi Arabia and you can say the word Jesus and I'll show you how quickly you get thrown in jail. Seriously. They don't play games. They don't want to hear the J word. Don't dare say that. Don't bring up that person. Even here's what's silly about it. Jesus is in the Quran. But he's a minor prophet. Right? Like Jewish people. They accept that Jesus existed. And he had some good things to say. You're not the Messiah. Okay? So sit down and be quiet, carpenter. Right? Maybe you should go make some more tables. You know, something like that. You could walk on water, you probably had wooden shoes or something. Anyway, okay? Or let's take the issue in Rome. Rome, the seat of Catholicism. Was it always the seat of Catholicism? What religion used to dominate Rome? They still have museums and monuments up to these dumbasses. We call it paganism. Whereas back in the 2nd century, after Jesus died, I believe that. Some people think he's fake. I don't think so. If you were to express that you were a Christian, you were in trouble. They could arrest you. They could kill you. They certainly could try and pound the belief out of you, torture you, all these types of things. But Christianity was the dangerous cult. Okay? Because it taught that everybody can have a relationship with God, and it challenged things like Aphrodite and Saturn and all these goofy gods that, you know, like the super team. It's like the League of Justice. It's like the Justice League or something goofy like that, right? Right? Like Poseidon is Aquaman. I mean, seriously, if you actually look at comic books, that's all comic books are like a rehashing of paganism. Look at Thor. That actually is a real god. That's what we named Thursday after. You know, look at Superman. Isn't he just Zeus? Isn't he just Zeus, basically? I mean, he doesn't throw lightning bolts, but what the hell, big difference. Big difference. He's the Man of Steel. You know, seriously. And he's like superpower or whatever. I guess, I don't know who Batman would be. Just a murderer. Anyway, Batman's a sicko. Anyway. But let's fast forward now to the 7th or 8th century. Who's the one who made Christianity popular throughout the empire, the Roman Empire? So Constantine, if you guys don't know, was emperor of the Eastern Roman Empire. He was what is now Istanbul, used to be called Constantinople, and he was a very powerful and well-respected emperor. And if you guys have ever heard the story, he had like a vision or a dream where he was told by, I think, one of the saints or something like that, to convert to Christianity, and everybody else would follow. And he's exactly right, that one of the number one things you need if you're a religion is at least recognition by the state, or at least admission by the state that you should be allowed to exist. Because if you don't get the state's approval, that's why I say what the Satanist is an example. There are no laws on the books that say if you're a Satanist that you can go to jail. But I assure you, no doubt in my mind, that if you start the Church of Satan, that the police will be at your door within 5 minutes. Even if you've done nothing. And I assure you other religious groups are going to be outside your church too. Okay? So Constantinople changed. Do you think all of a sudden everybody in the Roman Empire decided on their own that Christianity was a great religion and that they should convert? What forced them to convert? Huh? Alright, so what big deal? The emperor is one religion, I'm another. Get over it. Constantinople, or Constantine, whatever your name is. It's your problem. You got to control every little bit of everybody's lives. What do you think a lot of people converted out of? Like the feeling? How were they feeling once the emperor said, I'm a Christian now? And some guy's just getting done building a statue to Zeus. Now what's he do? Yeah, knock it down or something. This is under threat. People are in many ways socialized from the time they're young into thinking that religions are, the religion that they are is absolutely right and nothing is weird about it. And that in order to succeed, especially if you're in a mainstream religion, look, in this country, if you're not a mainstream Protestant or a Catholic, you're outside the mainstream. And if you're one of these other groups, you know, like especially Scientology, or even like Buddhism and stuff, then you're a freak. And the world's going to treat you that way. And you should probably never talk about your religion out in public. Now, it's not right that that's the case. But I'm telling you right now, if you're not from a Judeo-Christian tradition in this country, and worse, if you're an atheist, you might as well just blow your foot off. Seriously. You might as well put a tattoo on your face that says, I'm a freak. Okay? Please discriminate against me in hiring and come arrest me too. You might as well put a sign on your face that says, abuser of other people. Oh, but Christianity would never abuse people, right? There'd never be any weird rituals. I want you to back up a little bit. Imagine that you're not Christian or Jewish or any of these other religions. That you came here, you're an alien from another planet, and you go to somebody, I wish to understand Christianity. And someone says, well, you know what? We worship this guy. He was a carpenter. He said a lot of cool things. He performed a lot of magic tricks. And then they killed him at the age of 33 for no good reason. And then his spirit rose 3 days later, and we honor that. And the way we honor that, the last moments of his life, is by symbolically eating his flesh and drinking his blood. That sounds like, no wonder Twilight is such a popular movie series. What's that sound like if you're drinking someone's blood? What are you? Yeah. Let's take Islam. Does Islam symbolically drink Muhammad's blood? Do they eat flesh? Can you see why they might think Christianity is weird? Can you see why Muslims are adamant in their position that you're wrong and they're right? I'm trying to pull you away from this idea that the things that you see in your life are normal. Because other people see it differently. Like Mormons, they don't believe in caffeine. Which I'll tell you right now, Mormonism, that is the quickest way to stop anybody from converting. Is to make dumb rules like that. I have a friend, he converted to Islam, and I often get into arguments about, like there's specific diets, you can't eat certain things, and it's the same with Judaism. It should be with Christianity, but Christians eat ham on Easter. Even though in Leviticus it says not to eat all these animals. By the way, you're not supposed to eat owls either for some reason. Maybe they taste good, deep fried owl. Anyway, but I often challenge my friend going, do you really think that when you die and you go up to be judged, that someone goes, you lived a pretty good life, you were nice to a lot of people, I see you forgave a lot of people, that's very good. You ate cheese. Damn it. Sorry, you gotta go to hell. Sorry, man, you ate pork. It's over, dude. You shouldn't have done it. I mean, you really think that's what it is? Seriously. And like, if you go even farther, like Hasidic Jewish people, they don't believe in wearing bright colors. So to wear like a red handkerchief is an absolute violation of their rules, and they believe that you're going to be punished for that. Okay? The one good thing about Judaism, and I'm pretty sure all sects, they don't believe in hell. Heaven, that's cool, but hell, yeah, get out of here with that crap. I'll tell you, most people be like, you want hell? Welcome to it. Go to Somalia and tell me that's not hell on earth. Okay? Go to Afghanistan. Tell me if that's fun. Okay? Is that a good place to be? Some people would rather be dead. Okay? Anyway, or if you look at Amish people, Amish people and Hasidic people have a lot of similar beliefs, and one of them is about colors. Like, if you've ever seen Amish people, I still find it funny, and Family Guy made this joke. Why is it that the technology from 1840 is okay, but not now? And I would go to them and be like, look, you got a dollar bill in your pocket, right? That's from the 21st century. You just violated your God's rules. No. Better find some dollar bills from 1820. The stuff that religions do, I think when you step back and go, I'm sorry, why do people pass around a collection plate? Because God has never once come down and said, hey man, can you spare $5 until next week until I get paid? Jesus never asked anybody for money, did he? Also, let's take a look at things like Christianity. Christians talk about homosexuality like it's some of them, some Christian groups, talk about it like it's the worst thing on earth. Did Jesus ever say stuff like this? Did Jesus say hate people because of the choices they make? And don't forgive them? And attack Syria if they have nuclear weapons? No. What do you think Jesus would have done on September 12, 2001? Would he have stood up on the rubble and say, you're all going to hear from me when I exact my vengeance upon you? And I find it funny. I would say to most Christians in this country, do you think Jesus would hang out at your sect and your organization? How do you think Jesus would view all the child molestation that's going on? Think he'd look well upon that? I think, man, eating pork looks pretty slight compared to doing something like that, doesn't it? Okay. How about all the materialism goes on church? Why do people dress up in fancy clothes? I mean, you really think you're impressing God, that you're cheating on your wife? Well, but I wore a tie to church. That makes up for it. I'm embezzling money from my business, but I wore nice shoes to church. So, give me some extra points there, God. God doesn't work according to a lot of people like some kind of extra credit thing. You don't score points. Or I loved my favorite day, and this next Christmas I'm going to take my camera to church because I want to take it to multiple churches. First of all, on Christmas, most people who attend church on a regular basis don't go. The people who like have guilt in their soul or something go. It's all a big scam. And then everybody dresses up in their jewelry and their clothes and their SUVs that are destroying the world. Thanks, Al Gore. You've done nothing to stop this. Okay? They go there and show up. And I'll tell you right now, most Christians will tell you this. If the preacher is wearing jewelry, gold jewelry, you need to get out. Seriously. I know they brought gold and frankincense and myrrh to Jesus, but probably just get the crap out of here. Okay? From every picture I've seen of Jesus, not wearing jewelry. I don't think he'd be hanging out on a yacht with Cristal. He's not hanging out with Jay-Z, okay, in the Big Pimpin' video. He's not. Alright, but anyway, you see the materialism that church in many levels is just as much about social status and you know, showing people, oh, look how pious I am. Look at my nice clothes, look at my beautiful car. It becomes a sense of also business going on. Remember, we watched the House of Cards, right? Or no, I don't think we did. Some of you ever seen the documentary House of Cards? In the documentary House of Cards, which is about the housing industry and the collapse of the housing industry, this woman who bought a house, her name was Cynthia Simons. She lived in Compton, and she wanted to save her house. And so her real estate broker, I think, was a member of her church. And she came into church going, hallelujah, you got the house. Later on, they foreclosed on it. But you saw that this woman was using the church as a setting for business. And people do this all the time. Okay? Anyway. So here are some of the religions of the world. I think one of the things you need to look at is that 1.1 billion that's either agnostic or atheist or secular. Christianity and Islam are both proselytizing religions, meaning that they seek to convert people. Like Mormons do want to convert people, but they're very wary of who they approach. There's other religions. Look, I don't get pamphlets from Jewish people. I get pamphlets from Christians almost, every week. Although the Jews for Jesus do hand out pamphlets. It's surprising at Mets meetings. Okay? I'm going to talk about team that needs an exorcism or something. Maybe somebody buried some chicken bones in the stadium or something like that. Who was the idiots that buried? Didn't they bury a jersey in one of the stadiums? Was it an Ortiz jersey or something like that? I mean, that kind of twisted. So Well, what do you expect? I mean, the Pope spoke at Yankee Stadium, not at a church, which I find amusing. So. Anyway, with these 1.1 billion, Islam and Christianity, they want people to join. Hindus, I don't get pamphlets from Hindus or from Taoists or Buddhists. Scientologists sometimes, but they're very wary as well. Okay? But these two religions, they want this 1.1 billion people. This is like Apple and Google fighting over market share. It's essentially what it is. And the Christians, at least fair amount of the Christian hierarchy, I think, wants to get rid of this entire religion. They have no respect for it. They don't want to listen to it. I think that both these organizations seem to be incompatible with each other. And here's the problem. Both Christianity and Islam, and a lot of religions are like this. Judaism talks like this, and so does Hinduism to some extent. Buddhists, on the other hand, are not this intolerant. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and Hinduism, and some other faiths, Scientology, they think they're right, and everybody else is absolutely wrong. You're not even close to being right. And on top of that, that you're going to hell. And I love it. Within Christianity, the Protestants fight with the Catholics. Within Protestantism, the Baptists fight with the Methodists and the Presbyterians and the Seventh-day Adventists, and it's like, enough! And I'm telling you, if Jesus came back, probably he'd be hanging out at a homeless shelter or like an escort service. What are you doing there, Elliot Spitzer? Anyway, so now Jesus is. People are trying to equate him to Charlie Sheen because he can hang out in a strip club or something. He's there to save people, okay? But regardless, I don't think the activities of most churches are in line with the founder. I just don't find that to be. Almost never find that to be the case. I mean, Jesus spoke against materialism, and yet what does the Pope dress us up like he's the king of the world or something? I mean, I've seen the King of England had less jewelry on. It's just really weird. All right, so in the U.S., I'm not going to get into every little detail here. Whoops. This slide shows up there. But basically, this is the breakdown. 76.5% of American adults are Christian. Of that 75%, 52% are Protestant and 24.5% are Catholic. That is the other ones are either Jewish, atheist, or Islamic. You see down here. Okay, and this varies drastically by region. And I doubt in Montana you're going to find a Catholic church or a Greek Orthodox church. You're not going to find them in Wyoming. You go to a place like Utah, you're not going to find regular Protestant churches either. You're going to find Mormon churches. Okay, and they don't. If you've ever seen the movie Ridiculous with Bill Maher, they don't appreciate people coming and talking bad about their religion. And their religion is strange. They think God is 6'4" and has blue eyes, and there's a secret password that Jesus tells you to get into heaven. So it's like a pin. The silliness that some religions come up with is just drives me so crazy. Also, for a long time, Mormons believed in polygamy, and again, they're the sect that, like, what was his name? The quarterback for Steve Young. He is actually related to Brigham Young, and he went to BYU, I think, and at BYU, lights out. Well, not lights out, but curfew at like 8 or 9. No drinking on campus, no sex, no coffee. And when you do those types of things, you're pretty much saying to the rest of the world, hey, unless you're in with us, don't come bother. Okay? Because the Pope has said a lot of things that people don't agree with, but the one thing he knows not to do is start talking against coffee. I mean, man, when you start talking against coffee, what did coffee ever do to anybody? I mean, alcohol kills more people than that. Mormons don't drink. They're like Muslims. But they drink. And a lot of this stuff, again, it's like with my friend, that when he gets to the afterlife, they're going to be like, oh, dude, sorry, he ate pork. What the hell? I mean, these rules were actually something that Jesus spoke against when he was in the temple going, you guys put on the show, put it in your heart, you really don't mean these things. You can like the menorah all you want. It doesn't mean a thing. Okay, anyway. Regardless, 14.1% of Americans don't follow organized religion. So they're agnostic, atheist, or humanist, secularist. Humanists mean that they believe in a human philosophy that you should treat all people well. So they're probably the ones who were coddling Hitler when he was poor. I would say to people who are humanists, Humanitarianism has a lot of problems to it. Humanitarianism demands that you treat Stalin like a human being. I'm not treating Stalin like a human being. I'm a part. Okay? Secularists don't recognize any religious influence. Atheists don't believe in God. Agnostics don't believe you can prove God. Or they're up in the air. These are the ones that the Christians and the Muslims really want because they think that they can convince them one way or the other. Anyway, 1.3% of the American public is Jewish. 0.5% are Muslim or followers of Islam. 0.5 are Buddhist. 0.4 are Hindu. 0.3 Unitarian Universalists. That's a whole other thing. To go into that would take another whole class. Anyway, 0.1% are neo-pagan, Druids, pagans, Wiccans. It's like witchcraft and stuff like that. I don't know about in the United States, but in England, about 3.5% of people say that they follow the Star Wars religion, that they believe in the Force. Still better than Scientology. Anyway, here's a breakdown of Christianity in the United States. You see that Catholicism as a whole, as one unit, is 44.3% of the 100% of Christian. Baptist is the second largest group. That's Protestant. All the rest of these are basically Protestant, except for this. This is Mormon. And Mormons, again, this is I'm surprised this hasn't come up more with Mitt Romney, because Mitt Romney is a Mormon. And I'm surprised, because average mainstream Christians, I doubt, those of you who are in Catholic Church, do you really think your priest or the Pope believes that Mormonism is a real religion? I think they think it's a cult. Just like when I was a kid, Mormonism is a cult. That's what you're told when you're a Baptist. They're weirdos. They made up their own book. Okay, they marry multiple wives, which is not true for most Mormons. But again, the coffee thing, I want to call them on the phone and be like, what is the deal, man? Give me an explanation from a biblical perspective why you think caffeine is so evil. Seriously. And I hate to be at a late night meeting in a Mormon church because you know everybody's falling asleep. Okay? I mean, my God, you don't drink coffee, you don't drink alcohol. I mean, what do you do? I'm probably just popping pills now. Anyway, that's what it leads to. Maybe they smoke a lot of cigarettes. Pentecostal, this group is somewhat accepted, but when you start talking about snake handlers and talking in tongues and blah, 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 like that, you turn, you ever seen the Pope speak in tongues? Okay, most Baptists think it's a joke too, alright? So it's cool to be Pentecostal until you start talking in tongues or snake handling and stuff. And then you stepped over the line. Then you have stepped over the line. Lutheran, this is very closely related to Catholicism. If you go to a Lutheran church, the only main difference is that they don't have this element of the Pope rising over above everybody else. There's no Holy of the Holies, and there's no catechism and all this stuff. But other than that, they do everything almost exactly the same. Okay, I've been to several Lutheran churches. They don't bow and kneel as much. But anyway, Latter-day Saints, again, that's mostly Utah and Arizona. I don't know how Mitt Romney from Michigan and Massachusetts got all the way to the East Coast as a Mormon. Usually not a lot of Mormons on the East Coast. Although there are several Latter-day Saints churches around. You'll see them. Just like another one that's not on here that gets considered to be a kind of a strange group, maybe not a cult, is Jehovah's Witness. Because for the longest time, they don't do this anymore, at least most of them don't. They used to go door to door and knock on people's doors. I think either a lot of people got annoyed or I'm pretty sure a couple people got kidnapped and killed. Huh?
They still do that. They do that.
Yeah, but they're much more careful about what neighborhoods they do this stuff in and things like that. So, but that's the way they feel. Also, people like Mormons and stuff like that go on missions to other countries. Many times they'll go to Russia, or they'll send them to Kazakhstan and start talking about Jesus, and they don't realize that that's against the law in a Muslim country, and they go to jail. And then many times the Mormon church will make it look like the other country was just persecuting Christians, and they get the State Department involved. And it's like, no. You went to another country telling people they were wrong and stupid, and that if they don't listen to you, they're going to hell. Of course they're going to throw you in jail. Kazakhstan is not the United States. I think some Americans who've never been out of this country live in a perpetual delusion that the rest of the world is like this country. Okay? You go to Pakistan and even to say the wrong thing, some crowd will come along and tear you apart. You don't play games there. Okay? And especially I would like to say to the women, be careful what country you go to. I don't think Saudi Arabia wants you there. I don't think Kuwait doesn't want you there. Okay? Anyway. Presbyterian, this is Scottish, actually, for the most part. Similar to Anglican, which is English. Old Catholic. I'm not sure if they're really referring to Eastern Orthodox or whatever here. Methodist, which is also very popular. Methodist churches are very kind of like Methodism, like in a Baptist church. That's what people call the Holy Rollers. That's dancing in the aisles, bear witness. Good Lord God! Like the preacher I used to have, he used to get all like frothed up, and his neck would turn red, and like the veins would stick out, and like he'd be slobbering at the mouth. And come down and bear witness, and tell your soul, and kneel down, and let me heal you, and all this stuff. And they'll sing like the choir is for real at a Baptist church. It's like dancing and like electric guitar, and they're jamming. Okay, they're cheering for God. My aunt used to tell me that hey, people can cheer for football teams. Why can't I cheer for God? Methodists, on the other hand. Amazing grace. That's what they sing. Not to make fun of it, but it's just different. And if you like boisterous thing, Methodism is like having a church at a library or a museum. You don't dare speak loudly, and nobody gets all frothy and nuts. Okay? I mean, anybody Methodist want to share? I could be completely wrong. I've been to a Methodist church a few times, so. And I'm not that it's wrong. Like the baptism is, to me, is way too over the top. It's like you tone it down a little bit here. Okay, come back. Okay, and Methodism is like, man, somebody needs to talk loudly, and like the preacher, it's like, speak up, man. You got a microphone, and I still can't hear you. Okay. I went to one church where people were holding hands. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm not holding hands in the middle of flu season. Okay, sorry. Anyway. Anglican, again, this is mostly English. That is the church that... Does anybody know who started this church? This was actually the first Protestant settlers. Huh? Henry VIII. He started this church because the Catholic Church didn't want him to... Well, they didn't want him to divorce his wife, Anne Boleyn, who was like the Queen of Spain or something, some princess of Spain or something like that. So he said, screw you, I'll leave your church. What do you think about that? And Henry didn't take... People always show him as like being fat and stupid and eating the turkey leg. He was a very astute leader. This was not somebody who was a moron. And this was also not somebody who just listened. I mean, you got to think, the entirety of England was Catholic until Henry stood up and told his people the Pope is wrong. That takes guts to stand up and do. Like Martin Luther, who was just some, minor monk. And the Catholic Church wanted to arrest him and drag him up to Rome and kill him for hanging those 95... I can imagine when he did this late at night, he hung these 95 Theses up on the church wall. There was like problems that he had with the church. I bet when he hammered it up, it was about like 1 o'clock in the morning. I bet when he woke up the next morning, he's like, maybe I should go take that down. Like an email that he sent, and it's like, maybe I shouldn't have sent that email. Anyway. The Adventists, that is the group the Branch Davidians come out of. This is what we call a millennial group. They think the end of the world is near. There's actually a Seventh-day Adventist church in Jamaica, Queens. It's pretty big. There's like a little park there, and it's right across the street from there. Holiness, I'm not sure about this one. This is one of these newfangled sects. And the other groups, 1.3 million. All right. Here are some of the functions of religion. I'm just going to go past this because it's too slow. Just quickly, religion functions in our life in many different ways. I mean, obviously, one of the first ones. These are not by like order of importance. This list. So, moral and ethical system of behavior. That religion, from even before this, there were states. Religion told people what to do, how to do it. I mean, if you go back 100,000 years, religion existed before there was a government, or was sort of pseudo-government. Because if you had a tribe, many times the leader of the tribe was also the spiritual leader, and he would come up with some idea about moving the tribe somewhere, or where to find food, or what to do next, or who should be the next emperor, or king, or whatever the hell it is. So, it's been telling people how to behave towards each other. Things like the Ten Commandments, and on, right? Number two, this is certainly something that religions do that no other institution in the world really does. Maybe the academic world, but academics don't like to talk about death and what happens. There's a lot of questions that science either doesn't want to answer or can't answer. Like, for example, where the hell were you before you were born? Answer that question. What happens to your personality and all your memories when you die? Does it just disappear? I love when atheists try to tell me that it's oblivion. I'd rather go to hell than oblivion. Sounds like some sick netherworld or something. Okay? You want oblivion? Welcome to it. Okay? You go to a country with no government. That's oblivion. But the idea of, oh, are there angels? Are there ghosts? Is there a God? What's the purpose of life? All these things. Number three, cultural and social control. Religions are ways to control people. Think of the way the church behaved during the Middle Ages, right? It kept people in ignorance. It kept the Bible written in Latin. Most people couldn't read Latin, so the priest could say all this nonsense and stuff like that. Also, and maybe some people who are Catholic will be a little bit concerned about this. Do you really think the priests that are in those confession booths, especially in like the 7th and 8th century when there was no television, kept their mouths shut? You think they can't tell who's in the confession booth? You can see right through it. You can see exactly who it is. Okay? They got these little hearts and stars and stuff, or whatever it is. There's like this screen that's supposed to block your identity. Come on. I'd love to do a study on how much priests gossip. Because they've got the juiciest bits of information imaginable. Somebody cheating on somebody's wife, somebody's cheating at their business. You know? But that's a form of social control, to make people feel guilty. Number four, cultural imperialism. Think of the Crusades. Think of the early missionaries. Like, ask yourself, why did Portugal and Spain colonize the New World? One of their reasons was to spread Christianity. There's no doubt about it. It's one of the reasons why Christians are viewed as dangerous in the rest of the world. Is that you give Christians an opening, and they're going to start talking about Jesus. I don't think. How long do you think it would take if I had Tim Tebow to come in here before the subject would turn to Jesus? Even with all the Jets fans in this classroom, and all the football, Tim would be talking about Jesus. I would guarantee you within 10 minutes. Or I would ask, somebody would ask him a question. What do you think your role, your faith is, and stuff. And I think that's what the NFL is seeing in the Jets, and people don't understand about Tebow. The reason why people love Tebow is because of his religion and the way he wears it, and how he sticks to it. Like, supposedly he's a virgin. That might explain why a lot of women are liking his like forbidden fruit or something like that. Because most people who look as good as Tim Tebow does, as men, have had sex with 200 women. Okay? I mean, Tiger Woods in 1 weekend had more sex with more women than Tim Tebow probably ever will in his life. Okay? I mean, Elliot Spencer paid for sex more than Tim Tebow even probably thinks. Oh, no, he probably thinks about it all day. Anyway. Someday I want to get married. Anyway. Number five, social status. Watch, he'll get married, he'll have a bunch of money, and then won't be the right woman, and be like, she'll break off and steal all his money. Anyway, social status. Hey, being a part of a majority religion makes you very visible. If you want to run for president, you better not be a Seventh-day Adventist. Let me tell you something right now. You better not be a Muslim if you want to run for president, because it ain't happening. You're not even getting on the ballot. And if you do get elected, on your inauguration day, I think there's going to be laser sights on you, and it won't be weirdos in the crowd. It'll be the FBI or something like that. I'm telling you right now, it's a sick thing to say, but I'm telling you right now. Do you think it would turn? Do you think it wouldn't turn violent if an Islamic person got into office in this country? I mean, we have a black man in office right now, and there's people in the South that want to do all kinds of horrible crap. Obama had like 9 or 10 threats to his life before he even got to the White House. And it wasn't because he was so good looking. Okay? It was because he was black. And religion acts very similar in a lot of ways. Romney will get crap said about him because he's a Mormon. It's not right. Think about this. We'll go back to the Islamic example. Remember during the election, what were conservatives accusing Barack Obama of being? And my question was, I'm sorry, that's a crime. Why? And again, remember I just told you about freedom of religion. Do we really have freedom of religion in this country? Doesn't appear so. The Constitution might protect something, but I couldn't come in here and go, just got done with my sickness meeting today. Ripped open a couple chickens. Things are looking good. It used to be, and this is what I love. If you guys remember in the Old Testament, what did God tell Abraham to do? Kill his son. Imagine if you said something, well, God told me to do that. Right? The absurdity. So, again, we may have guaranteed freedoms of religion, but if you're outside the mainstream, and unfortunately because of September 11th, if you're Muslim, even though it's a mainstream religion, you saw there's 1.1 billion Muslims in this country, and there was only 19 dumbasses that day, and I'll tell you right now, not a single one of those people were really Muslim. Just like Saddam Hussein, he wasn't Islamic. Okay? I mean, he might have prayed 5 times a day when he had pork on his face or something. I mean, this guy was an idiot. So was Bin Laden. They were both, almost all of these people were secular at some point, and then they got all crazy into the religion. Okay? And I'm telling you right now, good Muslims don't tell other Muslims to kill people. And the jihad is supposed to be an internal struggle. Okay? But I'm telling you right now, even if you were Buddhist, I don't care who you are, if you're Buddhist and you run for president, you're not getting anywhere near the White House. Okay? Even if you run a company, you're going to be in trouble. Anyway, number 6, community, social integration, and assistance. Think about things like the Civil War, or not the Civil War, but the Civil Rights Movement related to the Civil War, was basically started and headquartered in Southern Baptist churches. Who was Martin Luther King? What was his job before he did the civil rights thing? He was a preacher. He was a Baptist preacher. Right? Think about how many religious figures. Jesse Jackson, religious figure. Okay. Think about all, social movements like the living wage. Now, sometimes bad things, at least in the minds of liberals, comes out of churches. Things like the anti-gay marriage movement or the pro-life movement. These things come out of churches too. And churches, many preachers and priests will tell their congregation how to vote. They'll even take them to the polling site. Anyway. Number 7, similar to number 2, an alternative to science and rationality as explanation for why things happen. My mom, to the day she died, thought evolution was a lie. Everybody knows better now. Anyway. Number 8, political influence, obviously. Religion matters in voting and things like that. Go ask homosexual people how important that stuff is, right? It is religious people who are, or at least overtly, a certain percentage of religious people. Like in California, the reason why that was overturned was that religious people went to the polls and said, we are not. Because you think, won't you think California, as liberal as it is, they haven't voted for a Republican for president since 1956. And that was Eisenhower. Okay, and everybody liked Ike. That's why they used to say it. Okay? I mean, do you really think California should ban? This is what I love. California won't allow gay marriage, but if you're gay, you can get married in Iowa. Iowa! Iowa's not the bastion of liberalism. Okay? I mean, if you look a little too weird in Iowa, you think of Trayvon Martin? You should see what goes on in Iowa. I mean, if you're a minority and you're walking down the street in Des Moines, you might as well just do this. Seriously, you might as well just arrest yourself. Okay? So I find it amazing to me that Iowa, which is somewhat progressive, allows homosexuals to get married, and California doesn't. Does New York State allow this to take place? Did they pass this law yet? I know Massachusetts does. What a shock that Massachusetts, right? The Soviet Socialist Republic of Massachusetts. They tax you for breathing in Massachusetts. This is how dumb Massachusetts is. I was there for a convention in Boston. Maybe this was just Boston. They don't sell beer at 7-Eleven.
Outside of New York, they don't have
Yeah, that'd be good.
beer in New York.
See? That's a silly. God bless New York. His drunken ways. Anyway. All right, number 9, social and global division. Does religion divide people? It's probably one of the number one thing that divides people, right? And it's what people want to know. What's your religion, you know? And look around the world. The Middle East is divided by nations, but it is united by its religion to some extent. Same with Europe, and same with North America. Okay? You think it's bad not being Christian here? Try to be non-Christian in a place like Mexico or Brazil. That goes over real well. At least in the United States, we have more respect for individual rights. A place like Brazil, you just better be Catholic. Seriously. Seriously. And in particular, private Catholicism, too. Number 10, the opiate of the masses. Does religion lead to docile publics, meaning that we're waiting for rewards in heaven, so why bother fighting? Now, 11, social safety net. Do religions provide, and religious organizations provide for homeless people, or for food banks and clothing and all that stuff? So some levels they do. Number 12, educating people about spiritual matters, social and political matters, as well as running schools. I teach at St. Joseph's. Okay, I teach at Malloy. Those are both Catholic-affiliated schools. I think both of them are related to the Dominican or the Franciscan sisters. So, and I know that many of you probably went to Catholic or religious school. The Quakers run school. Believe it or not, I think of all my kids at least at one point went to a Quaker school. I like the Quaker churches are called the Society of Friends. I love that. Anyway. Alright, so let's move on. So let's go to social constructionism. This is a very important concept, not only for religion, but also things like gender and race. Like, for example, tell me, so social constructionism is this sociological ideology concept that examines how social types, roles, concepts, and institutions are constructed socially and culturally through formal social institutional definitions, meaning the way government view things, like race, census questions, genders. Like, nobody even questions this. Why are there different bathrooms? On Ally McBeal, there weren't. You ever seen this show? Isn't there another show where there's like unisex bathrooms and stuff? Have you ever seen the sitcom New Girl? Zooey Deschanel goes in the same place. They live in like a place that looks like a locker room or something like that. Anyway, but how come there's men's and women's tennis? Is Roger Federer that afraid that Serena Williams is going to whip his ass? Because he'd look really bad if that happened. Okay? How come women aren't allowed to play baseball? You tell me there's not a single woman in this world that can... Hey, Mets, you want a circus show? And maybe get somebody to get you some RBIs? I guarantee you there's a woman out there that can play like that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You put a woman pitcher on the mound, she can do some damage to some bad... I mean, look, you can't get much worse than some of the garbage that's going on out there. Or let's take the NBA. You tell me the Bobcats couldn't use one of these women who slam dunk the ball? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You telling me that she can't play better than some of these jokes who sit on the bench? We don't even question this, right? And larger than just gender, but things like masculinity and femininity. But let's go back to race. How is race socially constructed? Meaning that the definitions come out of governments and how we interact with each other and how we view internally. Like, what's that word white mean? What's that refer to? Because I'm not white. This wall is white. You see that? I'm sort of like a pink or peach color. I guess peach power doesn't sound as cool. We talked to peach voters today. We have to talk about the peach majority in the United States. I mean, the silliness of it, right? And here's another thing. Are black people really black? Right, so there's this element of meaning. So that's a perfect example. There's social meaning behind that word black and white. And we say stuff like Black Monday. Right? It's a black day. You know, people wear black during mourning. Black has, or like in country, old Western movies, the villains always were black. Right? That it was equating African American people, particularly when they were slaves, and you can get into the N-word, right? I mean, that this is, you're a black mark upon the world. And we're white and beautiful and angelic, even though we're holding slaves. But we're angelic. Okay? Or look, Chinese people get called yellow. I don't think so. Native Americans are red. Hispanic people are brown. Have you ever seen pictures of J-Lo when she was on In Living Color? She's whiter than I was. How about this? If I go out in the sun long enough, I'll turn red. Does that make me Native American? If I get a nice base, I can turn brown. Does that make me Hispanic? Hola. Now I'm Puerto Rican. So one of the things here is that even ethnicity, right, is somewhat constructed. Did the country of Poland always exist? Like, let's take being Italian American. Does anybody know when the country of Italy became a country? Our country's older than Italy. 1870. That's when Italy was a nation. So, to say you're Italian American or say you're Italian, what does that really mean? That's socially constructed, isn't it? Because what if you're from Milan? Anybody who's ever been to Italy, you know this for certain. Northern Italy does not resemble anything close to Southern Italy. You might as well be in another world. Seriously. Same with Germany. There's Catholics in the south, there's Protestants and Lutherans in the north. Do people look differently? I've seen Germans that have black hair and brown eyes. Explain that, Hitler. And I've seen Italians with blonde hair and blue eyes. So what the hell does this stuff mean? Obviously it means stuff like history and language and culture. But again, this concept of race is very much, in the United States, has to do with things like the census. Or the way people get treated through school. Or the way the media suggests that if you're black, you have to act this way. That's why people consider Bryant Gumbel not to be black. And if I was black, I would be offended by the fact that just because Bryant Gumbel is a decent person who talks proper English and got an education and works a real job, that somehow that's un-black. Yeah, I mean the absurdity that Wayne Brady, just because he's sort of nerdish, that calls into question his racial category. So if I'm a really cool white guy, I must be black. Is that what you're trying to say? Remember the Chad thing? All right. I don't know, the way Tyree was looking at me, it wasn't appropriate. I don't think Eminem's that way, right? You know what was funny? To show you how socially constructed this is, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Cornell Lake, the Harvard professor, who was black. He called Bill Clinton the first African-American president. How can that be? It was actually somewhat offensive. They said because he cheated on his wife and all kinds of stuff like that. And he was somehow black. And he had rhythm. You know, and he plays the saxophone. This kind of stuff, right? The absurdity of this. Here it shows you as well, they even, during a debate in 2008, they asked Barack Obama, who by the way was raised in a white or peach household. Okay. So he's part peach. Right? So is Tiger Woods, he's part peach too. They asked him with Hillary on the stage, I think it was Toni Morrison, somebody who's an African-American writer. Asked Obama, so-and-so just called Bill Clinton the first African-American president. Do you believe that's true? And Obama, without skipping a beat, goes, I don't know, I'd have to see him dance first. So I guess if you're Asian and run for president, you better know how to do complex mathematics. Yeah, that's it. You better know how to use chopsticks and do kung fu. Okay. And you're Hispanic? Better know how to do landscaping or something like that, right? And the absurdity of these stereotypes, right? The reason why Jeremy Lin got all this attention, sorry about your knee there, buddy, is because there are virtually, when Americans think of Asian Americans, they don't think of somebody who can bounce a basketball. Just like when people think, look, how do you know Magic Johnson couldn't have been the greatest mathematician the world's ever seen? Because people pigeonhole people into these things, right? So anyway, so keep that in mind, because we're going to have a little bit of a quiz later on about social construction. And keep in mind, gender and race, even though they have biological origins, right? Okay, my skin looks a specific color. My eyes are a certain color. My cheekbones are a certain way. My body is this way. I have this ethnic background. And gender as well. It's pretty heavy surgery to change your gender. It's not nice, especially if you're a man and they chop things off. Okay, and then they add a few things. Anyway. But in general, these concepts we know as black, white, Hispanic, Asian, Arab, all this stuff, or feminine versus masculine, or male versus female, these things are socially constructed. And one of the proof is, have you ever seen pictures of Louis XIV? He looks even more dressed up than Lady Gaga. I mean, she'd be embarrassed to wear that type of clothes. Have you ever seen pictures of our founding fathers? Some of them wearing powder and makeup on their face and wigs. And wearing tights. And not even like respectable tights. Like tights that show stuff I don't want to see. Too much information tights. Okay? I don't want to know, what's up with Ben Franklin's whatever's going on there. Okay? You want to talk about a degenerate. That guy was a sick bastard. Okay? Pretty sure he died of syphilis. Just like some of the other people. I know Italian Americans love Christopher Columbus, but I would say to you, do the research because the man was a lunatic. Okay? I mean, he was. He was a degenerate. He was a failure. He was a rapist. You can pretty much put murderer on that list too. This was not a nice man. Okay? And people celebrate him like he's the hero of the world. Okay? And oh, by the way, he brought syphilis back from the New World to the Old World. So thanks a lot. And he gave alcohol to India, some wine, Native American. And they were like, here's some tobacco, Joker. Take that back with you. Anyway. So basically this idea here is that cults and religions are socially constructed. What means we give to them, what interactions we have to them. Maybe you've met a Mormon and they were perfectly fine. Maybe you don't define Mormons as a cult, but the government does, or other religions do. There's the thing. Other more powerful religions get to define what is a religion and what's not a religion. So when the Catholic Church says something's a cult, most people listen. Or worse, they go to the government and they say, hey, some of our members just left for this group. You better watch what you're doing. These Scientologists are weirdos. You never know what they're up to. Or like, for example, information comes out after the fact. Like, for example, the Heaven's Gate cult. All the men were castrated. Physically castrated. Oh, maybe it was chemically. It doesn't matter. They all changed their names. They separated themselves from their family and friends. And eventually, this is what I love. They thought that, I love this. You gotta love somebody this creative and nutty to say this stuff. There was a comet in 1997 that went past the world of the Earth. It was called the Hale-Bopp comet. The Heaven's Gate people thought that there was a spaceship behind the comet where Jesus was piloting it. So now Jesus is a fighter pilot. Or some kind of space. Hey, he's multi-talented. Okay? You turn water into wine, piloting a spacecraft is nothing. Okay? Nothing. Alright? Anyway. But get this. For some reason, everybody had to have a crisp, and it had to be a brand new $5 bill in their right pocket in order to get onto the spaceship. And they thought that they would just be beamed up like Star Trek. But the comet went past them, and so they all killed themselves with barbiturates and alcohol. And they were all wearing Nike shoes and like running suits. And Nike came out and said, we have nothing to do with this group. We don't want anything to do with this group. But stuff like that comes out and people go, man, that's a cult. Right there. No doubt about it. I think that on some levels, the definition is somewhere in between these objectivist definitions and social construction. That there is a heavy amount of, look, if people are stealing your money or telling you to... I'll tell you right now, you join a religion, and one of the first things they say to you is, look, if your friends and family aren't a part of this group, you can't talk to them no more. You need to leave immediately. If they say things like, sell all your property and give it to me, leave. If they say, oh, only I can have sex with people in the group, you need to get out. Oh, you got a 14-year-old daughter? She can be part of the house of David and have sex with me. That kind of stuff starts going on. Now, I'm using that because that's what the Branch Davidians did, the David Koresh leaders. So there are some of these elements, but it also is an element of, and we've mentioned this before, haven't mainstream religions committed some of these crimes? And yet nobody kicks the door in and knocks stuff down and burns the building down and kidnaps children and takes people away to jail. I mean, there's easily 400 or 500 people that are members of the Catholic Church that should be in jail for multiple felonies, and yet they're not. And it's really disturbing to a lot of people. Are you sure all that money that goes in the collection plate at any church goes to the right place? Here's the thing with the collection plate. Are there any records about how much money's in the plate? So if I'm the priest or the minister, I can, well, a little bit for me. So we go to Vegas later.
But that depends on the church.
Some of them give envelopes and stuff like that.
Well, some give you a report. Like,
Okay, some of them do. Some of them don't like to do that because they don't want to create an atmosphere where you only gave 20, this guy gave 50, and you're worse than this person.
No, like you give your own. Well, something like
You're supposed to tithe 15% anyway.
yeah, and then like you get a thing saying like some church. Well, it depends on what kind, obviously. But
They give you a sheet and say you can commit these sins because you gave that much
no,
money.
it tells you like how much you donate, like for taxes.
Oh, okay, so you can count it
But
off
then
the
they
tax.
have like a church thing where it tells you how much to spend, like a monthly thing, about how much to spend.
When a church starts billing me like it's Amazon.com, I'm out of there. Okay, seriously. What is this? Some like Christian dating site? Yeah, Christian singles. That's a better one. Anyway, don't go on those Christian dating sites and tell them you're Gnostic though, because they won't. They won't. Anyway, here is the concepts, mixing these two concepts of social construction as well as some of the ideas behind what a mainstream religion is. Number one, long history of believer existence. Catholic Church got that one? Yeah, we've been talking about the 1,000-year empire. Yeah, they've been around for like 1,500 years. You know, Christianity itself's been around for 2,000 years. Take Judaism. That's been around for like 6,000 years. Hinduism's been around for like 8,000 or 9,000 years. Okay? Some of the Christians are like, no, Hinduism ain't order. The world started with Genesis. Anyway. Number two, large percentage of a national population identify or are members of the religion. That's very important. That prevents the government from attacking you. That's like the Constantinople thing or Constantine thing. As soon as Constantine said, all right, Christianity is my religion, do you think they were sending Christians to the lions anymore? No. Now they were sending these. That must have, I would love to get, I wish it was Bill and Ted's and we had the phone booth. I wish we could go to the minute where Constantine announced it to the public that he was becoming Christian. Because I bet all of a sudden people were like, because you bet they were adorned with things with like Zeus. They were like, I'm not no Zeus lover. And people were like, this is the Zeus lover. Get him! You know, I mean, people were turning each other in. You know, it probably got ugly for a while. And I bet people were like, what is this stuff? What's this Christianity stuff? I never heard such a story. You know? You know, Zeus was like born from another god, and he throws lightning bolts, and he don't listen to nobody. You know, he just does whatever he wants. Jesus was a carpenter. People threw rocks at him and stuff, you know? In his hometown, people threw rocks at him. Number three, ancient texts. That gives you legitimacy. Number four, cultural social integration of the religion. In God we trust, on the currency. President swears on the Bible. There are some courtrooms that have the 10 Commandments up on the wall. Okay? In Rio, isn't it Rio, where they had the statue of Jesus going like this? And Homer said it's like he's on the dashboard of the entire country. And like people put Jesus, they put the dancing Jesus on. Number five, elites adhere to it and accept it. Emperor Constantine, American presidents, all Christian. Number six, normalize. No one questions the main tenet. No one goes, oh, hey, vampires, you're going to go eat some flesh, some blood. It still does explain why Twilight's so popular. It makes a lot of sense. Number seven, powerful and influential organizational power. Churches have power. The Catholic Church alone probably has $200, $300 billion. I mean, they got more money than Apple. Okay? I don't know what they're spending it on. On the other hand, sects, they use ancient and old texts, like the Branch Davidians. They used the Bible, but they also made up other writings, the Book of Mormon as well. Number two, offshoot of a pre-existing religion. Sects are usually considered to be less dangerous, less weird. Okay, but sects can slide into cults. Okay, they can be because when they start doing things that are questionable. Number three, considered to be deviant or strange by major religions, but not necessarily a threat. Number four, not fully accepted, but still not looked at like nobody's. Do you hear any presidential candidates or Obama saying, "Hey, we got to get rid of these snake handlers"? But they're weird, but nobody's trying to root them out. As soon as they start letting snakes into Kmart's and stuff like that, then it's in trouble, right? You try to kidnap people, things like that. Number five, small number of followers. Number six, members have a disdain for mainstream religions. Number seven, elites are not members except for Scientology, because of Tom Cruise and all his friends. Number eight, many times sects are started to reform a much larger church. Now, we will start here next time, and then we will talk more about the Branch Davidian group itself, some of its details, and then hopefully if we have time, we'll start a documentary about who the group is, because we're going to look at how the media helped define this group as a cult. All right, everybody. See you on Wednesday. And I'll give you a little blurb or something on confirmation bias, but in general, it's that idea of only identifying with or watching material that you agree with. Meaning that when for an individual does it become a disorder, and when for a society does it become such an issue that it has to be addressed by the government, or is it causing some kind of problem, like environmental damage or crime? You may want to use the House of Cards video here, right? Seemed like those individuals were infected by this crap, and these companies were too. Remember when Kyle Bass told them that you're headed for disaster? Remember when he told Bear Stearns and those idiots they were headed for disaster? How did they react? Did they take him seriously? The one guy said, he cut me off, he's like, you worry about your risk and I'll worry about mine. It's like, hey sonny boy, let me walk you to the door and get out. Those people are all fired. Kyle Bass has got $6 billion in the bank. And it's not like he's some kind of saint, but he at least was honest enough with what was going on to say, hey, this little dream you guys were having about American dream, everybody owning their homes, is not real. Okay, so you may want to talk about that there. And for individuals, the idea here is a psychological idea, is that when it becomes a disorder, is it impacting your personal relationships? Is it impacting your job? Are you becoming a hoarder? You might want to use hoarders as an example. Right? Clearly that lady who lived in that trailer was over the edge. And I don't know what kind of stomach acid that lady had. You remember her daughter said she got a strong stomach. She didn't wash her hands. And she cracked up one of them eggs and cooked it on. You know that pan was not clean. Hoarders don't clean things. That's how it starts a lot of the times. It starts with boxes and stuff, and then all of a sudden the cleaning goes away. And you didn't see the other one, but they showed another guy. He had like human waste all over his bathroom and stuff. I mean, serious. This becomes crazy. And you can look at it that way. Or depression and suicide, or somebody who keeps getting divorced. Because their wife, the shine comes off the apple, or their husband is boring, or whatever it is. But anyway, what impacts does materialism have on the well-being and psychology of people? That's sort of answered within that question. How does materialism create and contribute to social problems like pollution, corruption, crime, and other issues? You can just pick one of those and explore it in detail. What is the biggest problem that materialism is? What is the biggest problem that materialism is linked to in society, and why? Meaning, out of these, which do you think is the worst? So you can sort of combine these two and say, all right, I'm going to talk about environmental pollution because it's the most threatening, or corruption, or fraud. Maybe you want to look at how they interact with each other, right? That because businesses are so obsessed with profit, they don't recycle, so they damage the environment, and that in turn creates a situation where there's no incentive to clean up the environment afterwards, which leads to the Pacific garbage fall. And then what are some of the solutions? So we went over that. The extra credit assignment is to go online. I think I have the links down here. Yeah. I don't know what. Don't email to that email address. That's not what I want to sync to. Anyway, so at least 2 pages of potential for up to 20 extra credit points onto your test. Watch the CNBC and Frontline documentaries on Bernie Madoff and explain who he was, how materialistic he was, and what impact did it have on those around him and the public's confidence. He is a perfect microcosm of what can happen on the individual level and also bleed into the macro structure. And especially if you're a Mets fan, you probably should watch these 2 things here. Yes.
For the extra credit, do you want us to cite within what we're writing, or just?
Yeah, you can use the book if you want to back up your answer. I'm mainly just looking at the videos. If you want to just delineate what you got out of the Frontline video versus the CNBC video. In parentheses, put whatever the title. I think one of them is called the Madoff story or the Madoff affair, and the other one is something else.
Okay, and it's through
The scam of the century, and the other one is the Madoff affair.
It's through the same day as the test?
Yes. Remember, upload your test on the Safe Sign. If you're having problems with that, go over to the tech department there, and they should be able to show you.